Joining us now, former mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms. She's appearing here today in her personal capacity and not speaking on behalf of the Biden administration, where she serves as a senior advisor. So it's very good to have you on the show. We're talking about religion being stolen by the far right and used politically, but I'll start by asking you what's going on in Georgia. The fact that even the Senate race is such a battle at this point, given what's happening with the people of Georgia and how they're feeling about politics.
Well, we have seen this record turnout in the early vote, which has been great, but it's not over yet. We still have an election on tomorrow, and what we've seen happen previously in Georgia and across the nation, quite frankly, Democrats will have a great early turnout, and then we are overtaken on the election day. And it is my sincere hope that will not be the case in Georgia on tomorrow. I am excited that people across the state are excited, that people are paying attention in ways that we normally don't see a focus on midterm elections, but people realize what's at stake here. This is a choice between Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. That's not much of a choice to me, but clearly the race is very tight. We see Brian Kemp and Stacey Abrams, and then we have all of these down ballot races, including an election denier who is running for lieutenant governor in Georgia. And so as people think about what's been delivered from Democrats in Congress, from the Biden administration, whether it's student debt relief, whether it is the action that the president took on marijuana, whether it's capping insulin costs and prescription costs, and the list goes on. These are issues that will resonate with voters across Georgia, and I anticipate and hope that we'll see a really big turnout on tomorrow.
Madam Mayor, good morning. Last year, nearly 24 states enacted some sort of voting reforms, tightening access to the ballot, and Georgia was front and center of the national conversation on that topic. President Biden and others really warned against what's happened. However, we have seen a surge in early voting numbers. So how do we square those two things? Are voters in Georgia, are they being able to cast their ballot freely and fairly? And are there any worries about what they might find at the polling places tomorrow?
Well, we saw in Cobb County, which is in the metro Atlanta area, that 1,000 people did not receive their absentee ballots. They were attempting to overnight those ballots over the weekend. And so what you are seeing in Georgia is that in spite of all of the silly rules that were put in place, including not being able to pass out water and food in lines and reducing the number of drop boxes, that people are still showing up to vote. And you have to remember, we are the home of Congressman John Lewis. He was my congressman, and he reminded us that the right to vote is sacred. He also said that he was fearful he could wake up one day and our democracy would be gone. So I think that the two are not mutually exclusive. You had some unnecessary rules put in place by the state legislature, signed into law by Governor Brian Kemp, and people are still showing up to vote because we recognize what's at stake here.
So some Democrats I've spoken to have pointed to similar early voting figures, big early voting figures, as you've had in Georgia. But they tell me that what they don't know is that now we are in a post-COVID environment, how many people on the day are going to be Democratic voters and Republican voters. And in a sense, we're kind of slightly flying blind in this cycle because we don't know whether people have changed their habits because after COVID. Do you have any sense of the numbers on early voting versus on the day voting?
Well, and that's what we have to pay close attention to, because what we know, we have had a record number of people to turn out. But what we don't know are these people who would normally turn out in early vote, or will I believe it's 2.5 million voters left out there to turn out to vote. Will many of those voters show up on Tuesday? The numbers that I saw over the weekend was that the African-American vote was around 29%. Turnout. That's an encouraging number, but clearly there are many more people out there. We know that the African-American community makes up a very large base in the Democratic Party in Georgia. So we still need more people to turn out. People don't like when I give this analogy, but I remind people of the Super Bowl loss that we don't like to talk about a lot regarding the Atlanta Falcons and the Patriots. We were leading up through the half, and then we lost it in overtime. Well, we are leading in the early vote in Georgia, but if we don't push all the way through, if we don't make it until the final second, final minute in turning out that vote, then we could fall short. So people can't rest on this record turnout. They cannot get comfortable. We have to keep pushing and turn out because there's so much at stake in this election.
Former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning.
And I can confirm, as a lifelong Atlanta Falcons fan.
Yeah.
It is so true. And Lemire, stop your smirking
He just
over
got
there.
he really, I could feel it.
Smirking.
Beaming.
I could hear it.
Beaming. My brother called me up at the end of the third quarter and said, "Can you believe the Falcons are going to win a Super Bowl?" I said, "No." And they did.
You were right. 28-3.
All right.